The US stated its reasons for not urging Ukraine to negotiate with Russia. Russian UAV attacks Ukrainian Abrams tank camouflaged among trees. Russia updated the progress of building the first nuclear power plant outside the Earth. Russia's neighboring ally announced the expansion of gas to Europe. The US stated its reasons for not urging Ukraine to negotiate with Russia. Former US Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland said that Washington does not urge Ukraine to negotiate an end to the conflict with Russia because Kiev has never had a good negotiating position. In an interview with Politico on May 11, former U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland said that the U.S. never really urged Ukraine to sit at the negotiating table with Russia, even at the end of 2022 when Kiev counterattacked, succeeded and regained part of the territory. They weren't in a strong enough position then. They're not in a strong enough position now. The only deal Russia will make then is a what's mine is mine, what's yours deal. You can negotiate. Of course, such an agreement is not sustainable, Ms. Nuland explained. On the other hand, Ms. Nuland also said that Russia has not achieved its goals in the special military campaign. According to her, Ukraine can still win the war with Russia. However, the former U.S. diplomat refused to answer the question of whether she thought Ukraine could regain territories controlled by Russia, including the Crimean Peninsula. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has lasted more than 2 years, but the prospects for negotiations are still dim. Russia announced that it would only negotiate when Ukraine accepted the new territorial reality, implying that Kiev must recognize the territories annexed to Russia. Meanwhile, Kiev affirms that it will never cede territory in exchange for peace. Testifying before the Senate Armed Services Committee on May 2, Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines said that Russia will increase attacks on infrastructure, slow down Ukraine's defense production process, and force the country to negotiation must be considered. The Economist newspaper quoted Ukrainian military intelligence general Vadim Skibitsky as saying that May could be an important time when Russia implements a 3-layer plan to destabilize Ukraine. Accordingly, the first layer is to strengthen military attacks. The second is a campaign to spread false information to shake unity in Ukraine. Third is to isolate Ukraine in the international arena. They will turn everything upside down in any way possible, he said. On the U.S. side, Secretary of State Antony Blinken emphasized that if Russia shows a willingness to negotiate on the Ukraine issue, the U.S. will certainly be ready. Russian UAV attacks Ukrainian Abrams tank camouflaged among trees. The fact that Ukrainian soldiers camouflaged Abrams tanks, with desert paint, among many green trees accidentally revealed the location of this weapon for enemy suicide UAVs to attack. Video recently posted by military site voNHRonika.ru shows that a Russian unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, while performing a reconnaissance mission on the front line discovered a Ukrainian Army M1 Abrams tank hiding under the ground. Lots of green trees. Because the M1 tank has a desert-colored exterior, completely different from the surrounding greenery, the camera installed on the Russian UAV can clearly observe the body and barrel of this weapon. The Russian army then sent suicide UAVs to attack Abrams tanks. The attack from the UAV quickly caused a large fire to rise from behind the vehicle's body. It is unclear when and where the above video was recorded. The U.S. government in September 2023 sent 31 M1A1 Abrams tanks to the Ukrainian army. However, according to information published by the New York Times early last month, Moscow's armed forces disabled at least 5 Abrams and caused significant damage to 3 others. Russia updated the progress of building the first nuclear power plant outside the Earth. The nuclear reactor on the Moon, which can be transported and assembled without human assistance, will power a joint Russian and Chinese lunar base. Russia has begun developing a nuclear power plant for the Moon station jointly with China. RIA news agency quoted information from Mr. Yuri Borisov, head of the Russian space agency Roscosmos, said. Construction of an automated nuclear reactor on the Moon will be carried out in 2035. The reactor will help power a lunar base that Russia and China will jointly operate, according to Live Science. In 2021, Roscosmos and the China National Space Agency, CNSA, revealed their intention to build a joint base on the Moon, named the International Lunar Research Station, ILRS. On March 5 this year, Roscosmos announced that it would build a nuclear reactor with CNSA to provide power for the International Lunar Research Station. Roscosmos leader Yuri Borisov told Russia's TASS news agency at the time, "We are seriously considering a project around 2033 to 2035 to supply and install an energy facility on lunar surface together with our Chinese colleagues. This challenging construction will likely be carried out automatically, without human presence, and the technological solutions needed to carry it out are almost ready," Borisov added. Roscosmos is also looking to use nuclear-powered rockets to transport cargo to the Moon for the construction of the International Lunar Research Station. However, the Russian space agency has not found a way to safely build a cargo spacecraft to the Moon, according to Reuters. A nuclear reactor or similar reliable power source may be needed to maintain future Moon bases, because solar panels are unlikely to generate enough power. Last September, British scientists revealed plans to build a compact nuclear reactor that could run on small seed-sized fuel cells and would be tested by NASA for future missions. The size and shape of Russia and China's nuclear reactors on the Moon are unknown. Russia's neighboring ally announced the expansion of gas to Europe. Azerbaijan, Russia's neighboring ally, announced to expand gas exports to the EU. Caspian News reported that Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev announced a significant expansion of Azerbaijan's gas exports to Europe. "Our gas supply to Europe will increase from 8 billion cubic meters in 2021 to 12 billion cubic meters this year. This number accounts for 50% of Azerbaijan's total gas exports," President Ilham Aliyev said on May 7, according to the official website of the President of Azerbaijan. "Our plan is to supply 20 billion cubic meters of gas to the EU alone by the end of 2027, and I believe we will achieve this target," he added. Azerbaijan supplies gas to Europe through the Transadriatic Pipeline, TAP, since December 31, 2020. TAP is the final segment of the Southern Gas Corridor, SGC, stretching more than 773 kilometers onshore and 105 kilometers offshore, starting from the Turkey-Greece border, passing through Greece, Albania, and ending in Italy. SGC consists of 3 segments, spanning 7 countries and 6 management systems. SGC connected 11 investors and supplied gas to 12 buyers, mainly in Europe. Initially, the pipeline's annual transport capacity is 16 billion cubic meters, Turkey at 6 billion cubic meters. SGC's main gas source is Azerbaijan's offshore Shah Deniz field, which has proven reserves of about 1.2 trillion cubic meters. Currently, the European market accounts for the largest portion of Azerbaijan's daily gas exports, about 27 million m3/day. In 2021, Europe imports 8 billion cubic meters of gas from Azerbaijan, increasing to 11.4 billion cubic meters in 2022 and 11.5 billion cubic meters in 2023. From 2020 to 2023, TAP has supplied a total of nearly 31 billion cubic meters of gas to European buyers, of which about 1.83 billion cubic meters to Bulgaria, 3.03 billion cubic meters to Greece and 25.9 billion cubic meters for Italy. In April this year, Hungary received 50 million cubic meters of gas from Azerbaijan, half of the 100 million cubic meters agreed by 2023. Budapest authorities reached another agreement with Baku to increase supplies to 1 billion cubic meters per year. The increase in gas supplies to Europe is being carried out in accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding on Strategic Partnership in the Energy Sector, signed between Azerbaijan and the EU in 2022. After the geopolitical upheavals caused by Russia launched a military campaign in Ukraine 2 years ago, European buyers are actively looking for new gas sources.